Hey everybody, I have an autoimmune disease. These are often called invisible illnesses because people will look fine. My journey with this started about 3 years ago, I think. So after my twins were born, things never went back to normal. I went to the doctor and they basically told me to get on birth control, but that had never felt like the right option for us. A couple months before their first birthday, I started having pulsatile tinnitus and chronic headaches. This would go away with ibuprofen and sleep, rest, things like that. We went on a family vacation and there was kind of a lack of sleep there and a lot of driving. The headaches got worse. We got home and I had this bad neck pain. We went to a chiropractor and basically got told there was nothing they could do for us. And then I woke up one day and my vision was completely blurry. I could not read. I could not see. I could close one eye like this and kind of see. And that was scary. And so we went to an urgent care. My balance was off. I was nauseous. I was not okay. I thought at first with just the neck pain and the nausea that it was whiplash or something like that. But then when I couldn't see, it became wildly apparent something else was going on. So we went to the urgent care. They cleaned out my ears. They did a few tests, couldn't really tell me anything, told me to see an eye doctor. So I went in and they took me through the eye tests and I couldn't see anything. So this was a huge problem. They took some pictures of my eyes, told me that I had bilateral swelling of my optic nerve, which is very dangerous. I had some vessels that burst in my eyes. There was red spots. So they sent me immediately for an MRI and also set me up with a neurologist journey. So I went for the MRI and they confirmed, yes, there's swelling. The diagnosis they were after was called pseudotumor cerebri, which basically it mimics a tumor. There's swelling in your brain, but they don't know why. So it's kind of a generic diagnosis. The MRI said, yes, there's swelling, but not enough to confirm this diagnosis. I was sent to a neurologist that had zero bedside manner, was very rude, basically told me I was a textbook case of this pseudotumor cerebri, sent me for a lumbar puncture. To diagnose pseudotumor cerebri, it has to be quite elevated. And now I've had friends that actually did have this. Their levels were 25 or higher, and all these higher numbers. Mine was 12, which was well within normal range, and also did not confirm this diagnosis. Now, this neurologist told me, okay, well, to cure this, you need to take this cocktail of drugs. I felt broken. So I took these drugs that were recommended, which were Topamax and acetazolamide and a potassium supplement, because the acetazolamide messed with that. These drugs made me sensitive to the sun. They made food taste different. Supposedly they were supposed to work to decrease appetite, but it just made me crave weird things. It made my skin buzzy, basically from head to toe. And that was listed under a serious side effect, but when we called about it, they said, no, that's normal. That's nothing to worry about. The other serious side effects were death. So I suppose if I had died, then that would have been considered problematic. Even my teeth would be buzzy. It was very uncomfortable. It made me forget things I was saying in the middle of it, and ultimately caused a seizure. So I was again rushed to an ER, and I remember distinctly I had been exercising, started to feel weird, all of that, took a shower. I was preparing to take my daughter to school at the time, and went to get her something for lunch, and kind of rested my head against the freezer, feeling like, okay, I'm not quite all right. The dizziness was back. And the next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and I could feel my limbs shaking, but I could not form a sentence, even though in my head I was saying things. I could not speak. I was not quite conscious, and I could hear my daughter saying things to me, and I could not respond. And so when I could finally get up, I felt like my feet were dragging, like I wasn't in full control. I managed to send a text to my husband, and he came home and took me to the ER. This resulted in more tests, more blood work, from all the blood work that I had already had, like vials and vials upon vials of blood work. And all these test results coming back saying, oh, you're normal, nothing's wrong. I had an EEG, and then a 3-day EEG, and both of those came back normal as well. So I'm not a doctor. I did, in fact, study chemistry, but when all the tests are saying, no, this is not what you have, and the doctor is saying, yes, this is what you have, those don't quite work out. So you can do an experiment and say, yes, this is what's going to happen, and then that doesn't happen, and then you say, yes, this is what's happening. That doesn't work out. Not from a science standpoint, not from a logic standpoint, not from any standpoint. So, and after all of that, I couldn't form sentences, would forget what I was saying in the middle of it. I would forget words. I would forget how to spell things. And this is coming from someone that had very good grades in school, took a lot of accelerated classes, and was considered generally smart. And so now I feel stupid. Just stupid. Because I would forget words. And it still happens. I forget words. I forget in the middle of a sentence. I will ask a question and will be answered, and will forget that I asked the question and have to ask again. And it's difficult. And so we go to this other doctor, and he says, yeah, you've got some kind of infection in your brain. But still kind of the same thing. We don't know what you have. Run more tests, do bioscans, and that's coming back with these frequencies for Lyme disease, maybe, and go through a lot of treatments with supplements, go to more doctors, more blood work, more things like that, go through a Lyme protocol more than once, and it does not fix anything. My symptoms start to come back. My blurry vision is still a problem. I start to get rashes on my face, which leads us to think maybe lupus. We do a lupus test. It comes back negative. My good friend Trish, she has Hashimoto's. She says, well, it sounds like Hashimoto's. I take that test. It's negative. And through all this, I'm having still the same symptoms, still dealing with like a chronic fatigue, and dealing with all of this. And so we go to another doctor and run a lot more tests, and basically comes back with, yes, you definitely have an autoimmune. We don't know what it is. We now know that I have adrenal fatigue syndrome, which can either be a symptom of an autoimmune or an ultimate cause of an autoimmune. What that means is, so basically, you're tired all the time. It doesn't matter if you've slept 12 hours. It doesn't matter if you've slept 2 hours. You still wake up feeling like you did not sleep at all. And this is something I've come to realize I had been dealing with for a long time. I have difficulty falling asleep. I have difficulty staying asleep. And even when I do sleep, it's not effective. And it can also lead to a host of other things. So basically, your adrenals are on high alert all the time. And there's nothing that can shut them off, basically. I went through a bout of a few months where I would just have panic attacks for no reason. And during these attacks, I would not remember anything I said and not remember anything that was said to me. I would ask the same questions again several times and not remember that I asked them at all. And so this became very frustrating, and it's been very frustrating. I still have no concrete diagnosis. I know what my symptoms are, but any treatment that I have tried has not worked, has not made me feel better. And it's been, like I said, a few years of dealing with this. And so you can imagine the frustration it is when, people look at you. It's like, you don't look sick. For me, my vision never quite went back to where it was. I have limited peripheral vision, so night driving is out of the question. I still wear glasses most of the time. And when I go to the eye doctor, they tell me, oh, well, it looks okay. We don't know why you can't see. Which is super helpful. Just what you want to hear when you go to the doctor. Well, you look normal, so there's nothing wrong with you. I'm sorry. Which is the answer I've gotten a lot. I've done a lot of tests. I've done a lot of doctor appointments, new doctors, different doctors. They all have different opinions. They all can't fix me. And so it ultimately gets very frustrating. They tell me, lose weight. And I say, I've tried. I don't know what to do. And they can't offer me any real explanation to that. They can't offer me any official diagnosis or help. And I look normal. Some of my blood work looks normal. They tell me, okay, yeah, you have all this inflammation. We don't know what's causing it, but that's probably why you have pain. That's probably everything that's going on. Oh yeah, you definitely have an autoimmune. We don't know what it is, but you have one. So deal with that. And it's different. I can feel when a flare-up is coming. There's not really anything I can do to stop it. I hope someday we will be able to figure out what this is and an effective treatment. But right now, it's one day at a time. I just wanted to share this. I know there's others of you out there that are dealing with autoimmune, and you are not alone. You are absolutely not alone. So thanks for coming along with me today on this brain journey. Thanks for letting me share. We'll see you next time.